Hey peeps, it's your girl Daxaniart and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about the trailers for the new Disney live action film Cruella. So I'll be giving my thoughts and perhaps a little rant here and there. So let's begin, darling. When the trailer first dropped, I was excited, and yet I hated feeling excited because Disney's reputation with live action films, is just so disappointing every time. I mean, I love Christopher Robin and Maleficent 2, and even the live-action Cinderella starring Lily James. Those were decent, but at least I love to watch those more than once. But I can't really speak for the other live-action films, so even though I'm stoked, I'm trying so hard not to get my hopes up too high. But the thing about this live-action, and Maleficent falls under this too, is that they revolve around the villains and their backstory. So there are so many different ways to roll with these types of movies. First off, I think Emma Stone is going to be great. I'm already vibing with that villainous Cruella laugh they gave us. Beautiful. So I'm excited for her, and I think that's why I'm hyped. However, everyone is out here clowning Cruella, calling this the Disney version of Joker or Harley Quinn. I personally disagree with them because Cruella could be seen as someone who goes mad in the animated movie. She was obsessed with kidnapping and killing Dalmatian puppies for her passion for fashion, animal cruelty at its finest. Although I disagree, I do understand why people are comparing her to Joker or Harley Quinn. It's the visuals, the dark filter, the ruddy makeup, the troubled backstory. Okay, fine, whatever, agree to disagree. And apparently people are upset because she's being portrayed as some feminist icon. I get it, but I don't think that's really the case. I believe Disney may not be telling us, hey, here's a new great female character to look up to. No, I don't think it's like that at all. I just simply believe that is how Cruella sees herself. She sees herself as a feminist icon with the whole "I am woman, hear me roar." But it doesn't necessarily mean that Disney is making this the goal for Cruella to be seen as a role model for women. And I feel it's perfectly okay for a villain to have not redeeming qualities, but qualities that make us like them, whether they are headstrong or motivating in some type of way, especially for people like myself who grew up watching them in animated movies, and we are old enough to know what's right from wrong. If you're a parent, then that's your job to further explain to your children what's okay and what's not okay. I mean, we all have a favorite villain, ones we love to hate and ones that we tend to root for because they either have style, swag, or humor, etc. And as a female villain, she has that right to believe herself to be a feminist icon. She can be fabulous in so many ways while still being a villain. I think that's perfectly fine, but I definitely don't think that they're really trying to persuade anyone to make us female viewers believe oh, really, we need to include her as our next female icon. No, that's not the case. This is just her personality, and I think we just need to not be so self-centered and keep thinking that most movies are intended for us. No, it could just be the personality trait of that character. It doesn't necessarily have to speak vocals for us, if that makes sense. However, I do understand where people are coming from when they say that they are skeptical of this film because they fear that Disney might make this a redemption film for Cruella de Vil. Basically, that's kind of what they did with Maleficent and Maleficent 2. I personally like the second movie better than the first. And, in some ways, Maleficent 1 and 2, they worked. But at the same time, it's just kind of well, we had this evil villain who had all these powers of hell, only basically to just become this mother figure. Don't get me wrong, it's creative, it's innovative, and as I stated before, you can go in so many directions when it comes to these villain movies. So honestly, I can say that based on what we've seen in Maleficent, there is that high possibility that this will be a redemption film for Cruella de Vil. I'm really hoping that Disney won't be well, we're Disney, this is the brand. But it's but But then you're telling a story about a Disney villain where they traumatized our heroes in the animated movies. So how are you just gonna be like, well, let's just give them a soft side all of a sudden? Like, that's just... y'all are just getting soft on us. This is like a theory, or at least like my thoughts when it comes to this live action film or any Disney villain live action film. Like, at the end of the movie, it may lead into the plot of the original animated film. So in this case, for the end of Cruella, right, my thoughts would be like, at the end of this live action film, Cruella, she gets where she needs to be. You know, she's at the top of the fashion industry. She's rocking it, right? And then before the credits roll, we see her about to interview Anita, who is in the animated version of 101 Dalmatian. Either she's walking in for an interview or she just got hired and she's working for Cruella. Like, that's kind of where my thoughts are going, but I will say it again, you could go in so many different routes. It doesn't necessarily have to end that way, but I think like maybe for Cruella's case, because she likes to murder puppies and thus I don't really see her being redeemed in any type of way. I think that's how it should end, but I already know we're probably not going to get that. Knowing Disney, they may just milk this out and we end up getting a Cruella part 2. It would be really awesome if we did actually get what this trailer gave us and not something terribly different. The trailer looks great, but I know there are some times where the trailer, it grabs our attention, but then when we actually see the movie, it's like complete trash. Like, what? This is totally different from what we saw. I'll be surprised if we get something better than the trailer. My fear, however, is that we get a great villain story, but Disney tries to give her this happy ending and redeemable qualities to Cruella de Vil. I don't think every story has to have a happy ending, especially when it involves Disney villains. And I fear this for future villain live action films to come. They did it with Maleficent, but like I said before, in most cases it worked, and I love the second film more than the first. In the show Once Upon a Time, as cheesy as the graphics are, the creativity and the characters' backstories are just remarkable. And what they did for Cruella's backstory was so amazing. We still got this backstory to make us understand why and how she becomes the villain we all know her as, without making her this soft-hearted person in the end. Even though, yes, we understood what happened to her, how she got that way, she was still a psycho bitch at the end. She still kept her evil personality, and I love that. If you guys haven't seen Once Upon a Time, I highly recommend it. It's on Disney Plus, and I do plan on binge watching that whole show again because I had so many beautiful and emotional memories. I personally think Once Upon a Time is better than all of these live action films they have been giving us so far. Maybe after I binge watch Once Upon a Time, I'll make a video. I don't know, we'll see. There's so many seasons. It went strong, so we'll see how far I get. Anyways, I'm looking forward to this live action Cruella movie, which I don't really say about most live action remakes from Disney, but we shall see what happens when I make a review for the actual film. But I do hope later down the line we get a live action film of Ursula, or at least one of my favorites, Captain Hook. But if these don't slap like how they wrote the villain's backstory, like in Once Upon a Time, I don't want it. No thank you, I'm good, I'll pass. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on the Cruella live action trailer and what Disney villains you'd love to see made into a live action film. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new, feel free to subscribe, but don't feel obligated to, it's just a suggestion. And once again, thank you all for listening and thanks for watching, and I shall chat with you soon in the next video. Bye!